Hello there fellow acolytes and welcome to a new video series chronicling gems not for the Saturn but for the Nintendo Switch. I recently got a new capture card so I can now record footage from my Switch, so I thought I'd share some gems with you. So for any people here who are new, just what is my gem series? It's a series where I look at 5 different games from the system. They could be cheap games, they could be expensive games, they could be hidden gems, they could be well-known games, and in the case of the Switch, they could be Eshop games or retail games. Hopefully there's something there for everyone. So without further ado, let's jump into my first pick. It's Mom Hid My Game. Mom Hid My Game is a puzzle game that works in a similar way to the room escape puzzles you may have played elsewhere. I'm a big fan of the genre, especially the Rusty Lake series. And it's kind of like that, apart from with 50 different mini scenarios. The basic idea is that your mother has hidden the game, which looks remarkably like a DS, and you need to find it without her knowing. It starts off with some simple puzzles, like using a step ladder to reach the game from a high place, but later on it gets a bit weird and requires you to think outside the box. For example, in one later stage, you need to pull out a drawing pin in order to make passing bicycles crash. You then have to pick up the pin in order to cross your way across the room and pick up the game without getting hurt. It's silly, it's stupid, but it has a lot of charm. It also has touchscreen support as well for undocked play, which I found to be the most intuitive way to play. It's not a very long game or very difficult game, but you know, for the cheap price, it's definitely worth picking up for the experience. The next game on my list is the Mega Man Legacy Collection. If you've been watching my channel, you'll know that this year I've gotten into the Mega Man franchise, thanks to my buddies on the Retro Odyssey podcast, and as such I was quite eager to grab the Legacy Collection when it came out, since before then I had only experienced Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 8 from the core series. I was not disappointed. The first Legacy Collection, which I'm covering here, is comprised of the first 6 Mega Man games in all their glory. They're largely preserved as was, for better or worse, but you do have some extra options available as well. You can change the aspect ratio, the borders, screen filters and whatnot. It's quite a nice touch. It also contains save states and a rewind function as well to help players get through the game, since some gamers may find these old titles to be a little bit tough. It throws in a nice museum mode as well, so you can view artwork, replay boss fights, and there's also a challenge mode. The challenge mode is sort of like the NES remix, if you remember that from the Wii U and 3DS, but it's not nearly as inventive, to be honest. It takes some snippets from the games and you need to beat them within a time limit to earn medals. It's still fun, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. As for the games themselves, they're really fun for the most part. Out of the 6, 5 is easily my favourite, but also 2 and 4 are really top notch as well. The third is good and the first is also good. The first one's kind of punishingly difficult though. And 6? Well, 6 is just okay in my opinion. I know a lot of people are fans of 6, but for me I don't find the level or boss designs particularly interesting. Still a solid game, but it only suffers by comparison. The classic Mega Man titles are a classic franchise for a reason, and the Legacy Collection is a great way to experience them. They contain tweaks to aid newcomers, and they've got additional stuff for existing fans. As such, I think it's a must-buy for any Switch owner that loves a good platformer. The next game on my list is Bridge Constructor Portal. It's a strange crossover title that takes Bridge Constructor and throws it into the Portal universe. Whilst I've never played Bridge Constructor, I did used to play Bridge Builder back when I was at uni. It was a nice free little game and you had to build bridges and test them to see if it was suitable for a train to pass by without breaking. This game's basically the same as that. Apart from you need to guide a little forklift truck across a test chamber, and you use portals and gels and whatnot to traverse to the exit. The game carries the same feel as the Portal games, from the look to the music to the inclusion of GLaDOS, and you know, whilst the story and writing is nowhere near as good as the likes of Portal 1 and 2, the game is still charming enough to be enjoyable. It's a very slow-paced puzzle game and requires a fair amount of trial and error, but the physics work as they should, and for the price, it's a cool game to try out. It's not quite Portal 3 that everyone wants, but still worth a pop. I would recommend that you try out Bridge Builder first though, to see if this kind of game is for you, but if you enjoy that, I would say that Bridge Builder Portal is definitely worth a shot. Now, I was actually lucky enough to get the next game for free as part of a Kickstarter pledge, and that game is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. Curse of the Moon is actually a spin-off made as part of the campaign for Ritual of the Night, and it's designed to mimic old school Castlevania games. So you start off playing as the sword-wielding Zangetsu, and you gradually accumulate more characters. There's a vampire, there's a whip user, there's a magic user, and it has a very kind of Castlevania 3 vibe to it. But you know what, that's fine because it's from the same creator. It's a lot more forgiving as well, and it does introduce a casual mode, which gives you unlimited lives and reduces a knockback after getting hit. They did gauge the difficulty well though, and even on casual it still feels satisfying to beat. It has a ton of replayability as well, with many different paths that your different characters can take. There's a New Game Plus as well, which I won't spoil, but it has a nice twist to the game that incentivizes you to replay it. It keeps the NES style graphics of the Castlevania game it's aping, but it's far more beautiful, and to be honest I don't think a NES could actually handle such beautiful visuals. The music too is an absolute treat, and for such a cheap title I'd say it's a must-have for any fans of Castlevania games or fans of platformers. It's so good that I hope that the main game, Ritual of the Night, is as good as this one is. For my final game, and what's actually my pick of this video, is a game that should need no introduction, Super Mario Odyssey. As the name implies, it's an epic adventure. It stars our hero Mario, and is actually a return to the 3D collectathon platformer which has been absent for so long. If you think of Mario 64 but with modern enhancements, you kind of get an idea about what this game's all about. The story is the same as it ever was. Bowser has kidnapped Peach, Mario has to rescue her, but this time there's a twist. Bowser's kidnapped Peach, but he's also kidnapped someone else as well, Tiara. Tiara is the sister of Cappy, who joins up with Mario to take down Bowser. Cappy has an ability to possess different things in the game, and Mario can use Cappy to basically force his consciousness into the helpless inhabitants, and then he uses their body to do whatever he wants. To be honest, conceptually it's a horrific idea, but as a game mechanic it's a lot of fun. The downside is that, with no real enemies that can cause much of a threat to you, the game is remarkably easier from that perspective, but the worlds are so well designed there's still a lot of challenge there, and it will definitely entertain you along your journey. It starts off as well in a prehistoric land, and the game rarely lets up from there. It keeps innovating and entertaining and throwing new things at you all the way. You'll start playing and you won't want to stop. It's not a short game either, so it'll keep you entertained for many hours. Not only is it a fantastic game, but it's one of the best games of the genre. I've been playing it for a long time, and I'm actually only halfway through the amount of moons I can collect. There's still a lot left for me to do, and I'm looking forward to eventually going back to it and polishing it all off. The game's not perfect, admittedly. There are a couple of kingdoms I don't really care for, and the game recycles these boss fights against these rabid knockoff things, and these rabid things, they're not even fun to fight the first time round, and you have to fight them again and again. But you know what? Even with these problems, with what the game does right, it doesn't even matter. Not only is it a recommendation, but I'd consider this to be a must-own title for every Switch owner. So those were the 5 games we covered this time. We had Mum Hid My Game, the Mega Man Legacy Collection, Bridge Constructor Portal, Curse of the Moon, and Super Mario Odyssey. Have you played these games before? If you have, drop a comment below and let me know what you think of them. If you have any other suggestions for future episodes, again drop them in the comments and maybe I'll cover them next time. Thanks all for watching, bye.